perhaps something that could be a bit of a problem for the Indian markets is the fact that crude prices have really rallied. Even last night, there was a near 2% rally overnight. So Manisha joins us with the details. Manisha, I know that, when we were talking, you have mentioned that a lot of forecasts are saying that we could see that triple-digit kind of figure very soon. But this has been a swift move higher on crude.
Oh, well, absolutely. And as per those banks and brokerages who have been putting out those bullish forecasts as well, yet another 2% of gain overnight. We've seen 9% of a jump up now in last 1 month for the crude oil prices. And we are trading at a new 10-month highs for the crude oil prices. There have been various supply concerns coming into the market. It all began with Russia and Saudi Arabia telling us that they are going to cut output further. So we have in hand 1.3 million barrels per day of output cut until December end. Add to that fact that we also have concerns coming in from Libya, which has shut 4 east export terminals due to storms there. There are similar reports coming in from Kazakhstan as well. There also some output is shut because of maintenances, and that has added premium to the prices. Also, the OPEC monthly report came in yesterday, and they are anticipating stronger demand going forward for this year and 2024 as well. For 2024, their estimates for global demand growth are at 2.25 million barrels per day. We also saw the report coming out from EIA, which also has been increasing production and consumption going forward into this year and the next year as well. So we are looking at demand and production both increase, but they have slightly conservative view than OPEC at 102.3 million barrels per day. Also, EIA came out with the US output expectations. And there as well, we have been looking at the numbers rising. So from 12.8 million barrels per day in this year to 13.2. So the US production expected to increase slightly from this year-on-year basis. I also want to tell you on what the crude prices have done in this year until now. We started this year with nearly $82 a barrel, saw a sharp decline to $72 by the month of June, and we've gained by nearly $20 from those kind of levels to $92 is where we are trading right now, with expectations that you could be rising further from here. We have seen those forecasts of 95, 100, even a spike up more than that by the end of this year. Joining us now is David Lennox of Fat Prophets to exactly talk about that. David, hi, thank you for joining us. What is your sense now on the crude oil prices? Where do you see the prices going from here?
Hi, Manisha. Well, certainly if you have a look at the prices, they have been on the upward move. And that's primarily, firstly, because OPEC and Russia have kept their production the same across the next 3 months. So that gave the oil price somewhat of a flip. But we're now also hearing, and you've mentioned this as well, Libya, where there's been severe flooding, and we have seen a shut-in of various exporting ports, and also what's happening in Kazakhstan. So when one throws those all together, and we've already seen somewhat of a pressure on the supply side from the OPEC productions remaining the same, that would tend to suggest to us that we'd see the oil prices rise. We think if you remove Libya and you remove Kazakhstan, the oil price is probably sitting probably a little bit higher than where it should be. We're not expecting it to get into triple figures. It may touch there, but we believe that they're not going to keep it there. We will see moves to keep it under that price. And that's primarily because of what you just mentioned. We're seeing perhaps just a little bit more life coming back into the US shale region. And if that's the case, OPEC want to squash that completely. So watch out. We won't see any $100 barrels for significantly any length of time.
Okay. So are you expecting a 95 or 98? Where do you see this year ending? And before that, what kind of a spike can we work with?
Look, we think that we've been sticking with about $90 to $95 a barrel range. We believe that that's probably the upper end. Remove the other factors that have come into play, that, as I said, Libya and Kazakhstan, and that's given the extra push into the oil price. When those particular factors are removed, we will probably see the oil price start to settle more back into those numbers. As I've said, we believe that there's no rush for OPEC to see the oil price get up into or above $100 a barrel at the moment. They're quite comfortable with where it is, and they want to keep those US shale producers on the back foot, and that's really going to that's really what is going to be playing into the market pricing at the moment.
David, markets also are concerned because we are in a hurricane season right now. We are getting into a winter demand season as well. So with these kind of maintenance, output shuts, cut in output, etc., where does that leave us in sense of supply?
Look, certainly when you have a look at the US, yes, we are going to come into the hurricane season in the Gulf of Mexico. So we have to just watch and see what's going to happen there. they've drawn down on strategic supplies, so they haven't got that as a recall anymore, that they are at very low levels. So one would suspect that if we see significant disruption to US shale and that forecast doesn't come in as expected, then yes, we could see certainly that $100 a barrel handle. But OPEC, we believe, once we see that sort of number, will reintroduce production, and that will see the oil price very quickly recover. They are the kingpin when it comes to making prices now, and that's the way they really want to keep it for the rest of this year and certainly for all of next.
All right. I have one final question, David, and this is about the demand side of it. We know that most of the demand growth comes in from China and India in the Asian markets. How have you seen those numbers?
Look, certainly we've seen some variable numbers coming out of China, obviously with the economy there. But as we realise, the stimulatory programs that the authorities are pushing are starting to have an accumulated effect. We would expect to see some rise in the numbers there. We do expect to see India probably maintaining a relatively stable production profile. But after all this, we expect to see US demand perhaps just coming off a little bit. Given that they are paying so much at the petrol bowser, we are expecting to see somewhat of a pullback from demand there. So balance it all out, we're not expecting a big move in demand on the horizon over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, all right, David, thank you very much for joining in with your thoughts and the analysis, and thank you, Manisha, as well, for telling us what's been happening in the markets right now. So oil